getting these things?
Around 40, I think, and I think we're live. Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're joined by Max Wrottesley, aka Sir Lorent Marbrand. How's it going, mate?
Good, good, very good. I haven't seen the last episode yet, so who knows?
Ooh,
But looking forward to tonight when I get to be a Sky customer and see what happens.
so you don't. So,
Well, I read the scripts 18 months ago, but it's a long time and I haven't seen it in the flesh. So I'm looking forward to what I see.
oh yeah, I can only imagine like watching it become reality from page to the screen. That must be. Is that something that you enjoy watching it as
Oh,
well?
I mean, what's really nice is because on a show like that, there's so much extraordinary talent around you, and quite a lot of the time you're so focused on what you're doing or in the sort of minutiae of what's happening on the day, you kind of forget this unbelievable machine of talented people at work. And then when you get to see the finished product, uh, stuff like the cinematography, like you've got extraordinary people on set with you, but then when you actually see the episodes, you're like, oh my god, like these people are at the absolute top of their A game. Every frame is a
Mm.
painting. It's so considered, it's so accomplished. And that's just a pleasure because it's like the bit that I don't have any hand in or any involvement in, and I just get to approach as a fan and be like, wow, like,
Mm.
look at what these guys have achieved in this. And each episode, each cinematographer has kind of their own slight take. You get a feeling of who's shooting, and the light and stuff. Yeah, it's that's really fun for me because it's all very well seeing on the page and having the kind of being in the machine of it, but being able to step back and watch the whole thing and watch
Yeah.
the kind of, all the departments that I have no involvement in be amazing is a pleasure.
And it has also like being surrounded by blue screens and stuff like that. That seeing the finished product,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
very different. Although
definitely.
we're very blessed in this show that so much of it's practical. I mean, set wise, so much of it is practical. Like you can walk around Dragonstone for 10, 15 minutes and you're in Dragonstone. It's not in the set they built for King's Landing is like a town. Like there's a boat in a dry dock.
Mm.
There's a castle. There are gates. There's like you can totally immerse yourself in. You have those moments where you sort of turn around and go, oh, I'm in King's Landing, or oh, I'm in Dragonstone, because there is nowhere unless you look up at the top of the studio ceiling. Everything is where it should be and is right.
That's something we talked about prior to the season airing, right? When I had you on for the interview, that Dragonstone was going to be bigger. So we're probably talking about the what's it called, um the
The
bibliothecary, something like that.
the room of records, that kind
Yeah,
of
yeah, that's what I meant.
yeah. That's
Searching
a
for the word.
big set,
Mm.
really, really big set. And what's incredible about that set is every single piece on every single table you can pick up and is interactive. If there's like a little scroll on the table,
Mm.
you can unroll it and it'll say, Princess Rhaenyra, thank you for your raven, blah blah blah. We
Mm.
want to send 60 men from here to here. I mean, nobody's ever going to see that.
Yeah.
The work has gone into it. So when you are in that world, the kind of the attention to detail and the commitment to sort of reality is so strong that they will always have considered that.
Can you confirm if that is Meraxes in the back, the dragon skull that we see? Is that
I believe
Meraxes?
so. I can't confirm. I can't confirm.
Ah,
I believe so. I
all
believe so.
right.
I think I remember the name being said at some point, but
Mm.
again, they wheel that guy in and out. So actually, that's one thing that isn't there all the time.
Mm.
But there is a massive blue screen behind there that completes the
Yeah,
set. So that sort of massive doorway
yeah.
is about 10, 15 meters, and then there's a big blue. And occasionally they have the practical skull in, but that skull's great because it kind of goes around the lot. Like you'll see it outside one of the stages, like on the back of a flatbed, and then it'll be
Mm.
back in the studio. So it kind of follows you around, and everybody wants to take a photo with that because it's such a ridiculous fun prop.
Yeah, yeah. It's big as hell. um. So let's jump right into the fan question, shall we? We're also hi Max, hi Matthew, hi Eric. We're also gonna be looking at the chat and picking a few questions from you guys as well. But let's start with Will Sword. He asks, were there any props you wanted to get as a gift?
Yeah, I want my sword. I think that's
Oh,
the
okay.
answer. That's the answer. All actors who have swords and things say, I really, when my time finally comes and get in House of the Dragons, I would like heavily lobby Ryan Connor to let me have my sword so I
Mm.
can hang it over the over the fireplace at home.
Yeah.
And they're real. They're practical. I mean, it's not like a rubber sword. It's a real sword
Yeah.
and a real sheath, and it's got the pommel on it with the kind of the cross on it, and it's just a very cool thing.
Mm.
And everybody's sword is slightly different. All the main characters have their own kind of sigil or whatever else.
Mm.
I'm very fond of mine. I've done a lot of taking it out and waving at people, not a lot of killing people with it yet, but I'm still very fond of
Well, that could still come. I mean, now
it.
I think you
Poacher.
are the only Queensguard left now, right? It's
Yes,
only
yes.
you now. So,
We're taking them down one by one. Poor old Stefan Darklin had a bit of a bad season, and
yeah.
Lovely had a bit of a gruesome end. So yeah, now there is only me. And if they follow the books, then I should be Lord Commander of the Queen's Guard next season.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, just by proxy of elimination at that stage.
Yeah. I
Uh,
guess you're Lord Commander now.
yeah, I think so. I think at the end of the season. I mean, I haven't got my kind of little bits of extra armor yet, but I believe they'll be coming next season. And again, if it follows
That's
the book,
cool.
then I've got the fun of picking the seven who last all of 24 hours or whatever it is.
Well, if you're looking for any new members of the Queen's Guard, I mean,
Okay.
just reach out. um, but yeah, moving on. The next one is from Matthew Stewart. He asks, "What was the atmosphere like on the set the day of the Twins' fight, Cargyll Bowl?"
Amazing, really, really amazing. I mean, that comes from the top down. So Claire is just an incredibly smart and forensic director of actors. She has this real ability to kind of give people space, but also go and give the information that they need at the right time. And I think she said to the boys right at the beginning, I think she named the scene something like a dance of love or something. It was really counterintuitive, but I think to them, because the scene is all about the emotion and the stunt work, Rawley and the stunt team did an unbelievable job on that scene. But actually, what it's about is the intimacy between brothers. And Claire, I think, just walked that line so effortlessly, where you're telling the emotional beats at the same time as having the big action beats, and neither one is like lost amongst the others. And it was amazing. The boys, I can't tell you how hard they worked. I mean, they were absolutely pouring with sweat. They did that fight over and over and over again. Every single time they committed incredibly hard. I mean, Luke and Elliot are athletes anyway. They are incredibly fit, really, really strong, and just so game. I mean, they just went for it, and they really. I mean, they'd done so much work in prep. They just came totally prepared and just ready to sort of throw it all on the mat. And I think because they also knew it was kind of the moment where their characters would leave the show, they wanted it to be memorable. They wanted it to kind of have that emotional heft. And it was beautiful on set. Emma was definitely tearing up. I had a couple of moments where I was getting emotional. Then lots of the cast and crew were all kind of moved by it. The end is really, really beautiful. And they are brothers. They are brothers. They are twins. They have gone this journey together with this show. And they knew it was kind of the end of it. So it was quite beautiful. And so to answer the question, the atmosphere was very, very professional, because obviously there's a lot of stunts going on, but also just massively supportive all around, because we as a cast and crew absolutely love the Chittensall brothers. They are the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life, and seeing them work at that level was just a joy.
On that note, we got a question from someone from chat. Milne Norok says, "Could you tell who was Eric?"
Yeah, of course I could tell his Eric. I know those boys far too well. I think we talked about this the last time I was on your interviews, when Elliot got COVID on season 1, and they brought Luke in as a ringer, and he walked into the tent, and I was just like, something's not right. It took me about 10 seconds. I was like, Luke? The first one to notice. So yeah, I know those boys well enough. I mean, there are probably moments as it's getting very scrappy where it's harder to tell, but I think when they're in the armor, they're fully caked up together. It's much harder to tell than when they're in the green room together.
Yeah. I really like the emotions that were involved in that fight. That's something that that was very well done. I think it was not as much about the violence as it was about these two brothers meeting their end together. And I really enjoyed. I really liked the change they did with was it Luke who then committed seppuku basically.
That's
I really
Elliot.
like that. That's Elliot.
Yeah,
Really like that change.
I think in the book, I think they just both they fell each other or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But, I think because he come and pledged himself to Rhaenyra, it was really nice that they both make the ultimate sacrifice for their honor. They both made this decision and they both stick to it to the point of self-destruction and mutual destruction. Amazing characters. What a cool pair of characters, and you sort of see both their perspectives. And I felt so bad for Luke's character again, watching it rather than reading it. The manipulation of Cole to make him do this like deeply hateful thing, and playing on his sense of honor was so it's really powerful. I felt, I think it landed. I think when you saw the scene, it emotionally landed. You got, and it's like a microcosm for the whole show. It's the first time we actually have like black and green meet up, have a scrap, and it ends up very badly for everybody, which I think is going to be the theme of this show going forward.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's going to be lots more from here on out in season 3 for sure. Let's see, what else do we have? Milne asks, is Lorent the current commander of the Queen's Guard? Yeah, he's got to be. We just talked about this. I mean,
proxy, I think so. I mean, there's nobody else around, and they haven't hired any more yet. So I think it's last man standing business.
The next one is from Jesus V. Do you agree with your character that Rhaenyra is the one true queen?
Yes. Next, of course.
I knew that was going to come.
Named as heir by the king. We all knew it. Everybody bent the knee. There's no doubt in my mind. Rhaenyra is the rightful queen of the Andals, first of her name, defender of the faith. Oh, no, yes, 100%. Rhaenyra, Team Black.
So you take no issue with the green lights there? It's not something that bothers you?
It's all right. You've got the black and red on the chair, so it's
True, great catch. Now, people are always making fun of me for that, but it's only because the other colors are not working. So it is green.
Subconscious team green message.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I'm called Voice of Old Town, so I get it. I kind of set myself up for that. But yeah, next one is from Jocelyn. What's it like to work with Emma Darcy?
An utter joy. They are, without a doubt, one of the most naturally talented people I've had the luck of working with in my career. They also happen to be really charming and funny and great and generous. I can't say enough nice things about Emma. Since day one, I mean, I spend a lot of time in their company because we are always in scenes together. And they are just so prepared and so professional and so just great. Like, genuinely, I can't put it better. Like, it is such a joy to go to work with somebody who has that level of professionalism, commitment, and also just oodles of talent. The camera loves them, and every time they come on set, it's just it's an absolute joy to work with them.
Yeah, I think they really outdid themselves in this season in terms of like the performance. It really reminded me of actors like like Michelle Fairley, who played Catelyn Stark. I feel like there was an element of that, and at some point you guys have to win some Emmys for the amazing acting on the show.
Emma for sure should be in those conversations. The level of nuance and subtext that they can deliver in just a look or a turn of the head, and you always see the thought without it being played, which is great acting as far as I'm concerned. The interior life is always so alive. They're the best. I went to see them play at the Royal Court just after we not go this summer with Ben Whishaw, and they were again totally extraordinary and mesmerizing on stage as they are on the stage with us when we're working on House. So Yeah, they are going big places. You know.
Yeah, you can really. I feel like there's a lot of great theater actors in House of the Dragon, and I think that it's quite theatrical in a way. The acting of it is really like you. There's a lot of doing less, but it actually you get to read it a lot of different ways, and I really like that when they're you know not doing too much, but you definitely you have this headcanon of that's what
Yeah,
this means.
there is the natural sort of camp of fantasy as well. You know,
Hmm.
yeah, this is being played as great, but equally it is a fantasy world. It is a slightly heightened universe that's being operated in. So I think having that balance of being able to be nuanced enough that it feels totally real
Hmm.
and believe it, but also an element of joy in it and giving the audience that little bit of pleasure or that little bit of uh, extra that I think you're getting
Hmm.
from the performers.
Let's see. Do we have another question from the chat, or should we continue with the ones that people have sent in? Yeah, a lot of praise for Emma.
Yeah, fair enough. They're amazing.
Hmm. What secret potion does Lorent and Kristen take to not age at all since Viserys' reign?
Well, the funny thing about that is when I first got the job, obviously there's the 10-year time gap in season one,
Mm,
and they were very serious about adding grey to my beard when the
mm,
scene kind of, so at the beginning of the thing was whatever else, and then the time jump, and they were very carefully putting grey in my beard. I have gone so grey in the last 2 years that they now have to do absolutely nothing to my face. So I think I've kind of caught up with my character. Apparently, I've aged 10 years in two.
mm.
Um, if the costume department, if the makeup department is correct, but yeah, yeah. I mean, he just has a haircut, doesn't he? Cole just
Yeah.
has a short. He has an older man's haircut.
Mm.
I have not got that option. So
Well, but yeah, it's you know, they probably planned this out for Allison and Kristen to have this thing, and then uh, it wouldn't really make sense if Kristen Cole would be like, I don't know, almost pushing 60 now. It's it's
I
doesn't really
think
translate well to the screen.
the ages of Westeros ages. You know,
Mm, yeah.
let's not worry too much.
The next one is from Jocelyn as well. What's your favorite moment from set?
Um, Phil Daniels eating a wagon wheel. That's a pretty fun day at the office.
Okay,
We
you have to elaborate.
so, like, the Black Council are just the nicest set of guys that I get to work with all the time. We've got Phil Daniels and obviously we have Sir Stefan, played by Anthony, and then we've got Nicholas Jones and just a really happy little camp and Jamie Kenner. It's a really we spend a lot of time at that table, so it can be a long day, especially if, for example, Emma's got absolutely noodles to do and everybody has loads and loads to do, and we basically have to sit there making sure we're listening very carefully for 8 to 10 hours. So there a lot of camaraderie around the craft table with those boys, and there was a particular day where they discovered there was wagon wheels, and which is like, I don't know if you have them in your country, but wagon wheel is like a chocolate biscuit with marshmallow and stuff. It's like a real 70s kind of biscuit, and I came into the Easy Up, and every single member of the Black Council was just eating this ridiculous comedy chocolate bar, and that was we were in absolute pieces. I just took pictures of everybody. I was like, "You were all ridiculous. Couldn't look less like a council of war." And just looked like those little boys in the tuck box. So that was, I mean, and the sort of offset stuff. Favorite moments on set, being there for Cargyll was amazing.
Mm.
And dragon seeds being set on fire was an unbelievable thing to witness, being choreographed and put together. A lot of us had like wrapped for the day, and we all just were like, nobody's going home, right? We're all staying here to watch them burn like 20 people. So we all like hung out on our traders for the rest of the day. So when it got to kind of burn time, we all could be on set and just see it happen. And that you can't fake it. It is dangerous. It is thrilling. It is, it's an amazing thing to watch, and also just you feel the heat on your face. You know,
Yeah.
he's no messing around. Like these guys are being set on fire, and it kind of really helps with the other scene. You're thinking about the dragon stuff, and then you feel that, and you physically see it in front of you. It makes the dragoniness far more tangible, far more real. The threat and the danger of those imagined foes suddenly feels far more, concrete. That was a very cool day, very cool couple of days what we had in the Dragonmont.
So there's you mentioned that new cast members joined for season 2 and that you had a really good time with them during our interview. So that was probably Jamie Canna and I imagine Kieran Bew.
Kieran, yeah, and I know Kieran a little bit from before, like so he's a mate already. Really, really talented. And yeah, just fun to be on set with. Again, what is great if you get the right people on any job is levels of enthusiasm and commitment and love for what they're doing. You know, really, really lovely actors who can do both things. They can be great in the trailer 1 minute and then just switch it on and be incredible on set. And Jamie's just naughty. Jamie would just be naughty all day long, and he kept us sane. Him and James Dreyfus became like the guys out of the Muppet Show. Just opposite. I've got an amazing photo of them opposite me on the table, just talking to each other, and it's just banter all day long. Jamie cannot stop. He has no off button, so he's hilarious. And it was, again, those scenes can get quite leaden when you're just repeating, and the coverage they get on that table. I don't think you really quite see it in the edits quite as much as we actually got in the can, but hours of the same stuff. So you need somebody who's like fun, and every time we say cut can bring something else or bring everybody's mood up. So yeah, we had a lot of fun. We have a little Black Council WhatsApp, and yeah, I love those boys.
We have another question from the chat. Where is it? Nicholas says, do you already know where your character's story roughly goes? And if yes, do you consider it somewhat good for your performance? Do you consider it somewhat for your performance, just in general?
It's difficult because obviously the book is written. So I know where R.R. Martin spends Sir Lorent. Whether or not that'll be exactly or similar or entirely different will be up to Ryan and Sarah and David and all the writers going forward. So obviously it's in your head. There is a full arc within the books I've read, so I know sort of roughly where it's going. I don't think it's useful to necessarily bring that into the moment you're playing, because that's your character's future. They are unaware of their future, so you can only really try and be in the present as much as possible with performance. So I think anything that's happened previously, you bring what you're performing. But I think it's dangerous if you try and make assumptions about something that's going to happen in the future, because human beings, they alter as they make their decisions. So if you kind of have a thought about what you might be like in the future, it's probably going to be wrong. I don't know. As a normal human being, it is often the opposite of what you think is going to happen. Yeah, if somebody gets mugged on the street, am I going to be brave or a coward? You just don't know until somebody gets mugged on the street in front of you, and at which point, whatever instinct kicks in, and you do whatever you do. So I think it's the same with characters. They're people, so they will react to what the environment brings to them. So I think, yeah, planning too far ahead is dangerous.
Yeah, it's that's what a lot of people say, that they're focusing on the script really. Are you someone that makes up your your own kind of backstory for your characters? Is that something that you do, or?
Sorry, I'm just being.
No worries.
So yeah, I mean, there's an element of that, absolutely. I mean, I think because he's a Westerman, and he comes from Ashmark. I mean, all intents and purposes, he ought to be Team Lannister. Really, he's probably a Lannister bannerman. The rest of them would be that part of Westeros. But yeah, I definitely think about that. Which number son is he? what is life back home at Ashmark like? Who is
Mm,
Lord Ashmark now? How is the relationship between him and his family? And we touched on this the last time we spoke.
mm,
Um, I think Sir Lorent just very seriously takes the oath. And once that oath has been set, Rhaenyra or the crown, because it's not Rhaenyra first, I guarded her father. Once you make that commitment to the White Cloak, to the crown, that is your new family. That is the new reality. So any part of the history of what he's left or walked away from, I think he feels he's gained through the honor and duty that he receives from gaining the White Cloak and that service, that loyalty to the crown. So yes, there's lots I consider, but I think I kind of am. It's almost like once he put that white cloak on, he became a new person.
mm.
That was the life decision where you go, you're at the fork in the road. Am I going to have children? Am I going to, possibly, marry a nice Riverlands lord's wife and have a, brace of babies and have that life, or am I going to commit my life to service? And I think once he commits his life to service, that's where he puts his focus.
I love it. That's a lot of backstory. That's great. um, the next one is from about the Queen's Guard again. Priyanshu asks, how much do you think the Queen's Guard should be paid?
That's a very the whole point of the Queen's Guard is that it's a bit like a MP in the UK. Just because you're a public servant rather than you're not necessarily going to become enriched by doing public service. Public service is what you do. It's a vocation rather than a career. So I think kept well, healthy, well fed, my nice white coat, like cloak washed and cleaned, and my my boots polished by some nice serving boys and all the rest of it. I think so long as, again, I don't know what the law is, what it would be within R.R. Martin's world. I assume there will be some kind of financial remuneration, but it probably goes back to my family, I would think. I don't think you sort of gain a war chest as a Queen's Guard. I mean, what would you do with it? You can't own property. You can't have anything other than your duty. So, I hope he's well paid so that mum back home is kept in silks and, chickens.
Yeah, that's what I imagine too. Like, I would have to look it up. Chat, pull it up. Is how do the King's Guard and Queen's Guard get compensated for their work? Does anybody know? Please let us know.
And if so, where's my money?
True. Josh Medeiros asks, if Lorent were to claim a dragon in an alternate world, which one would he go for?
I like Sea Smoke. I do like Sea Smoke. I think Sea Smoke's just design is so elegant. Sunfire, maybe. It's quite a pretty dragon. I think he'd be definitely looking for shiny Porsche dragon rather than big ugly Vermithor dragon. I think he'd like a bit of swagger, the white cloak billowing out behind the Sea Smoke. Vagar.
I mean, Sunfire is, that's an interesting answer from a very devout Queen Rhaenyra supporter.
Well, I'm never going to get a dragon, so it's like I'm also, when I walk down the street, I see a nice Lamborghini. I'm not going to have one, but I can be like, oh, it's very nice. Wouldn't it be nice?
It would be nice. I think that's what was going through Stefan Darkland's head. It would be nice.
Yeah, and I loved how Tony played that. I thought it's just a great moment because I think it was really interesting. It's again, talk about page to performance to screen. I had just read it in a different way from how he performed it, and when he performed it, it was so much more interesting than I'd imagined it in my head, because he brought some sort of personal ambition to it, which I had always on the page. It just seemed like service. Yes, I'll do this thing because this is what is being asked of me. But I think it was that beautiful moment of like actual human ambition. Like I could be in the history books. I could do this thing. And I think that moment where he just goes, I've done it. It's a great little, because I think also if you don't know the books, they left that edit just long enough for you to go, maybe he did. No, maybe he did do it. Maybe we're looking at our first new Dragon Rider, and then barbecue time.
Obviously not, yeah. I would love to show you something. This is from a Brazilian artist, Felipe Irnio, who had this made for you. He wanted me to get your opinion. I hope you can see it. It should be up now. Can you see it?
Oh, I can see nothing at the moment.
Ah, well, that's because you can't see. If you, I'll send it to you on Instagram real quick.
Righto.
I'll send it to you on Instagram real quick because that way it works. It's Streamlabs. That's what Degrees Goblins and I have to deal with every week. But I think the chat is able to see it. If so, please tell us. And just gotta save it again. Just want to really get your opinion on this one because he took a lot of time and effort into it. There it is.
Wow. My goodness me, that's incredible. Oh man. Don't want to say that is so beautiful and cool. Am I allowed to steal it and use it on my Instagram? Can we ask him?
I'm sure you're allowed to do so.
How cool that is.
Yeah.
So awesome. And I mean, it's just a treat to be, one of the front of frame and the table behind. Oh, that's just unbelievable. I'm so chuffed with that.
It's from a Brazilian artist, Felipe Inho. He's an amazing artist. He drew a lot of other characters from House of the Dragon as well.
That is so cool. Get him to put it on Instagram, and I will share and favorite and like and tell the world that he's amazing.
All right, definitely will.
Super cool. Thank you very, very much. I absolutely love it.
I'll tell him later on.
It's awesome. I look very, very stern. Watch out. The Lorent's about.
Now, moving on. The next question we have. I just had to do that now. Otherwise, I would forget it. And I would hate myself for forgetting that.
Not just go like, just be quiet. I'm going to look at this for a few minutes.
Raphael asks, were there any deleted scenes that didn't make the cut?
Not so much scenes. I don't think we had a couple of reshoots and stuff. Just I think technically needed sort of rejigging. Some of the lines are slightly changed. Some of the table stuff we went back and reshot sections of. So there was stuff which we had previously that then didn't make the edit because they had replaced it with new footage, but not extensively. I mean, it's a weird one because there is so much coverage on the show. I mean, it's like coverage like I've never known in my life. Like quite often 4 or 5 cameras working at once. So you never know what's going to get used or put in. You'll notice quite a lot on the table stuff is that you'll just hear the sound, the audio, rather than they'll cut to the people talking. Especially when it's like big. They obviously will settle on Emma, or they'll settle on they want somebody's reaction rather than the person delivering the line. So quite often the stuff that we've all done ends up not being used. They just use the audio. But as far as like properly deleted scenes, I think so. I think Ryan and Sarah and David, they know what they want to see. The scripts, there's very little fat there. It's pretty lean. They know what they want to put on screen from the very beginning. They're very considered and careful with what they are writing, and they're not writing anything that they don't think is going to be useful or they're not going to use. So I think very little is not being used. As I said, alternative cuts maybe and shots and unbelievable amount of stuff. But I think full scenes, I don't think very many.
How much did the writer strikes take a how hard was it to film through that?
Well, that I think is one of the reasons we went back for a couple of reshoots. Because I mean, realistically, we were very, very, very lucky that the writers had done such an incredible job of getting everything over the line before we started. I mean, quite a lot of shows you'll be shooting episode 3 and they're still writing episode 6. What you
Mm.
go. I mean, that wasn't the case here. They had written all 8. They had rewritten all 8. They had rewritten all 8. They had everything they wanted on the page before the strike happened. It was the smaller things, frustrating things, where you go like, oh, you have an idea on set. And you go, oh, it'd be great if I could do that, or we could, this solves this problem, because it's always different from screen than page to screen, and it always will change a little bit as you kind of get in the room and with the writer and the showrunner right there. Ryan will have an idea, whatever else, and we were totally unallowed to do those things, and honestly, all the people who are involved were absolutely like, no, you can't change that. I can't write anything. That's not happening. We're not doing that. There's not happening. So there were moments where it would be like, wouldn't it be nice if we could? But I think that was solved once the strike had broken and they went back, and if there was anything they very specifically couldn't change on the day, that's when the reshoots kind of mopped up those difficulties. But again, there wasn't that much. The scripts were very, very fully formed before we started.
The next one is from Mats. Do you read comments from viewers? And if so, how do you handle negative ones? Side note, you're awesome.
I'll read that comment. I like that comment. I mean, I think because I'm a fan of the show, I was a huge Game of Thrones fan. So, I mean, I still get excited about being in the world. I'm still a fanboy for it. Because I've always loved the books and love the show. So, and I haven't grown out of that at all. There's no ennui about this for me. I'm all in, love it. So yeah, I watched the episodes like everybody else. I said I've got the last one to watch tonight, and I'm excited. And I probably will go on Instagram afterwards and see what people thought of it. But I think, like anything, it'll always be for some people and not for others. I got quite a lot of. I put up a post about the Rhaenyra and Mysaria moment in the last episode, and it was broadly very, very supportive, and then just some idiots, and you're like, oh, I can't, I'm just going to ignore your comment. I'm going to like all the other comments, and I'm going to ignore your comment, because I think the old adage goes, don't feed the trolls. Like, do not, once you engage with the kind of negative side of it, you just end up in a spiral. There's no point. So I will go on. If it's a nice thing, I'll give it a heart, or I might respond, but I won't lose sleep over the negative stuff, because I'm proud of the show. I mean, I think it's an amazing achievement. I love the people involved. I personally think it's a really good watch. So if it's not for you, that's fine. There's oodles of content that you can go and entertain yourself with.
The fact that, to get back to the Rhaenyra and Mysaria thing, the fact that got review bombed and that's so that was that was very weird to see in the show where incest and everything happens
I think it was so lazy, because actually, if you look back, there are signs all the way through about Rhaenyra being kind of interested in both ways and being sort of sexually excited by this otherness, whether it's going to the pillow houses with her uncle and what she sees and all the rest of it. And there's definitely I think there was some certain subtext between her and Alicent as teenagers, as they're both kind of don't get what they want externally, and they have this incredibly intimate relationship that I don't think is ever anything other than just an intimate girls' relationship. But I think if you watched it from the beginning and you've seen the development of that character, I don't think it was a huge surprise that it happened. And then people got their knickers in a twist. I'm like, really? You brought your prejudice before you watched the show, or you were never going to like it anyway. So whatever, right?
There are implications in Fire and Blood that Rhaenyra had a thing with Laena, and I mean Daenerys and Cersei have sex with women too. It's like you either haven't been paying attention, or I think those the fact that got review bombed is kind of silly, and
it's always just the worst part of the internet. It's the ones that just want to find the thing that they can stand their feet about. So whatever. I thought it was kind of played really beautifully, and I thought they were both brilliant in that scene. And it didn't feel forced, and it felt quite organic and quite beautiful. And I think it's that thing of it's just two people who are a little bit lost, in a really weird environment who have found some simpatico with somebody who suddenly gets them in a way that nobody's got them for a really long time. And whether it would have been any more or less than what it was, I think it was just a beautiful moment, which I busted. Sorry, I ruined it.
Yeah, you ruined that.
I mean, I got some hate on that as well. It's like, dude,
really?
Seriously?
People came at you for that.
People are like, come on, Sir Lorent, man. Like, what are you doing? Let him have it. Come on, you ruined my night.
Yeah, this fandom. Well, let's look at the chat. What else do we have? Simple, quick question by Matthew Stewart. Who's your favorite character on the show? I think I already know the answer, but
Rhaenyra.
Yeah, knew that was coming.
Closely followed by Rhaenys. Rhaenys is amazing, and Eve is so great. And then, do you know what? And I'm gonna add a third. I'm gonna say Steve Toussaint. I'm gonna say that guy because such a dude.
Oh yeah, Ooze is cool.
Cool. And I'm really like talking about the book, how cool that character is. Like, I am all in for Corlys lasting all the way right to the end and past everybody else, and still being a dude.
Yeah, I hope he gets to talk more about it, though. That's something that I really want to see. I want him to talk about these amazing things that he's seen and how it shaped his character. And I would absolutely be there for the exposition in that regard. But we will see. We will see.
Surely HBO are thinking that there must be a sea snake origin story to go and make. You know?
Oh yeah, that's something that is apparently, they're working on something. So we'll see.
They've got to have Steve Toussaint using de-aging. I'm not having anybody else play it.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a few more questions from the chat before we go back to the ones that people have sent in. Christoph Eichner asks, do you have a favorite sword in the world of Westeros?
Dark Sister.
Dark Sister.
Dark Sister is an unbelievable prop, and it feels an insult to call it a prop. It's an unbelievable sword. They're made properly. I mean, they're real workmanship. They are tempered blades. It is such a beautiful thing, physical item. And yeah, it just looks like it could properly take your head off. It's, it's sharp, it's dangerous, it's beautiful. Max it out like nobody's business. Yeah, I think Dark Sister's my go-to best sword.
Yeah, has to be up there. Dark Sister and also Blackfire. It was cool to see Ice as well with Cregan Stark this season. The fact that he, it was kind of like, I don't know if you're familiar with The Witcher, but it was kind of like Geralt of Rivia, where he has this sword behind his back. It was kind of cool little touch. But yeah, the next one is...
We all want that knife. We all want the knife that tells the Targaryen dynasty story.
The Caspar dagger.
That's just across everything, which is just so cool.
The next one is from Mark Sutton. A lot about war is timing. So what do you think was going through Lorent's head when the Blacks did not get any ravens from Daemon in the Riverlands? Would Lorent half expect a no-show from Daemon?
I think it's a complex one because I think the Queen's Guard and the King's Guard equally have a very unique proximity to the personal lives of the Crown, because they are always outside their door, they're always there. So I think Sir Lorent probably has a very good sense that things are not great in the land of Rhaenyra and Daemon at that stage. They're having a massive row in there. Who's on the door? Matey. So he's probably hearing a lot of stuff. There's, but whether he doesn't at this stage trust him, I don't know. I think all of them are. You sort of don't want to believe the worst. You want to genuinely hope he's doing what he said he'd do, because it's life and death. If he doesn't go and do that, if there is any treachery, then we're all scuppered. I mean, the realm is scuppered. I think if he decided to go after the Crown on his own, the support for everybody would just fall apart. So I think at this stage, we're all quietly hoping that he's doing the right thing.
Mm.
But we've also all lived with Daemon in Dragonstone long enough to know he might well be doing something else completely.
Another one. Where is Sir Harold Westerling? Is he gonna have it?
I don't know. I don't know.
So,
Shooting the Witcher season 5. I don't know.
oh yeah, that's
Nobody's told us. He took his white cloak, he gave it up, and I think he's he's in Florida in a cart, just going around and playing a shuffleboard and wearing Bermuda shorts.
so a popular fan theory is that he's going to be having his Barristan Selmy moment where he shows up to proclaim his loyalty for Rhaenyra. And I mean, you're alone now, so maybe you get a new companion in season 3.
We'd have him. He's an absolute monster. Let's have him back for the Queen's Guard. Yes, please.
Hmm.
But yeah, the answer is I have absolutely no knowledge.
Hmm.
I mean, there was obviously the scripts didn't mention him at all. I don't know whether it's just he was busy doing lots of other things or whether I don't know what the decision was. Love to have him back. Amazing actor, great performance, very cool character.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, he's probably busy with The Witcher. He plays a pretty big character in that Dijkstra, so yeah. Yeah, but I think he's definitely going to come back.
Oh, I'd love it. It'd be great.
Yeah.
It'd be a great moment.
The next one is from Joey Siula. Can you ask him what his first day of filming was like?
First day, God, it's so long ago, I can't remember. What was my first day like? I mean, cool. The first time you get all the clobber on, I mean, you get really used to the arm after a while, but the first couple of times you get strapped into it, I felt quite anxious because it was just, you can't get out of it on your own. So if you imagine, like, they put the shirt, you get a vest on, then you get a jacket on, then you get the tunic on, then you get the straps on, then you get the shoulders on, then you get the carapace on. They kind of just keep like layering and layering and layering these things on. You get to this point, you're like, wow, what do I do now? And then they just sit you in a chair while you wait to go on set. So it was quite a process, but I was so overexcited to be on the set and to see the actors around me that I think, it was a combination of like, don't F this up. Just enjoy every second of it, because at that stage, no idea what's happening, where it's going. And whenever you step on a new set, it's always like first day of school. You've always got that 2 or 3 first days. You're like finding your feet and who your tribe are and who's the fun, naughty people that you want to hang out with. And, but it's a very happy set. So it was probably a little bit anxious and a little bit like overwhelmed by the pressure of the uniform, but other than that, like, just really happy to be at work on something that I have wanted to do for years and years. I mean, I watched Game of Thrones for 10 years and was like, God, wouldn't it be cool if I could be in that show? So it was definitely a combination of slightly anxious but also overjoyed and in awe of the scale.
Speaking about the armor, what does this one is coming from Far Beyond the Stars? What does Max think about both green and black Kingsguard armor being the same uniforms? They should probably change it, right?
It's an interesting point. There has been discussions. We've talked about it. I think because it's an office of state, kind of does make sense that it's the same for both sides, because it's an office rather than like we don't belong to either side really. Like, it's an office of state, and because we happen to both, there's a king and a queen, and we're on different sides of it, we're still officers of state for those things. So we're not necessarily like decked out in their particular sigils or whatever else. We're both we're kings or queens guards, regardless of which king or queen we're guarding. That being said, I would absolutely love it if we get some new clobber for season 3. I think if and when Rhaenyra takes the throne, is back at King's Landing, it would be a very cool thing to have a little redesign, purely because it'd just be fun visually, I think, and it'd be great to have a new toy.
Yeah. Any wishes for that? Anything you'd love to have adjusted?
I'd like to go a bit short. I quite like the old Jaime Lannister. There's a bit of, I'd like to go for a bit of that kind of. There's a bit of bling there.
Yeah.
A little bit of that very shiny kind of like. There's a bit of the Excalibur style If you know the John Boorman movie Excalibur, there's a bit of that going on.
Yeah.
But honestly, production design is so great. Anything they want to put me in, anything they like, it'll be super cool. Very happy to put my old clobber back on, and very happy to try something new, whatever they like. Because I mean, you just look at the costumes in the season. Emma's dresses alone should have a wing of the V&A. I mean, they are unbelievably extraordinary, detailed, beautiful workmanship. So, yeah, whatever they want to put me in, something cool, shoulders.
Yeah. Speaking about season 3,
I want Damon's armor.
Oh yeah,
how cool!
The helmet.
See, like just the whole thing of showing sitting there is just so kind of like super machismo. It reminded me a little bit of Bram Stoker's Dracula. You know, the red armor at the beginning of that Gary Oldman wears as Dracula. It had that kind of same sinewy, kind of muscle bound, like really. I just thought the design was amazing.
It's also more close to the artwork that we know that we have about the like characters like Rhaegar in the Song of Ice and Fire. So I really like the design in the show.
The particular high point was his armor.
Speaking about season 3, however, when are you guys going to film? Start shooting that? Do you know?
I have not had the call yet, so I can't tell you. I don't know. My hope and assumption is next year sometime, but that'll all be up to Ryan and HBO and whoever is scheduling, and also lots and lots of people have work that they're scheduling around. I should think, you know, people like Matt and Emma are working huge amounts, so it'll be talking to their agents and working out when it fits in the year and all the rest of it.
Oh wow! Wake the Dragon just said that they announced that the show will end with season 4. House of the Dragon will end with season 4. Okay. That's a surprise to me actually, because there's a lot of stuff that you guys still have to do. That's gonna be action packed from here on out, I think.
There's a lot to get to. There's a lot of stuff, and I think we'll start season 3 with a bang.
Oh yeah. That's the big one, right? That's unlike anything we've seen on television before in terms of the scale, and I'm really interested to see how you guys pull that off. It's
gonna be huge.
Yeah.
And I think it was initially going to be at the end of this season, and I think it was so huge. Just it became unworkable once the machine of how big this thing was going to be and how much it was going to cost and how long it was going to take. I think it just was too big an ask for this season. So I think it'll probably come at the front of season 3.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to compromise with that battle. There's no way that you could do, kind of like the first actual scene that we get of the dragons actually dancing and then doing the Battle of the Gullet as well. That's a lot to ask for.
Massive.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a military operation shooting. I tell you, it's going to be.
Oh yeah.
Extraordinary.
Yeah. Wow. I'm really surprised that we will end this with season 4. I thought that it's definitely going to be 5 seasons. Maybe you guys are going to go back for 10 episode seasons now.
Again, I couldn't tell you. This is above my pay grade.
Yeah. What else do we have in here? They're just trying to be sneaky with the questions that I know you can't answer. but they're trying. Very clever. But Joey asks, which battle does Max hope to see next season?
A Battle of the Gullet. Yeah. That's going to be that one. Absolutely huge. I'm dying to see it as a fan. Separate from being in it, I'm dying to see what they do with it as a fan. I like the idea of it, sort of the backdrop of Dragonstone, the kind of the sea battle element of it. Like, I think it's going to be absolutely huge. And I know they won't disappoint. I know they'll just absolutely smash it. So that's the one I'm looking forward to seeing.
They've also just, I don't know if this is 100% confirmed, but someone just mentioned that Ryan Condal just announced that the season 3 would also have 8 episodes.
Again, you maybe have more information than me at this stage.
Yeah, I don't know. But moving on, Will Tillotson asks, as the only Queen's Guard left, you must be exhausted. Does Rhaenyra have you working 24-hour shifts?
Yeah, pretty much. But again, I think it's that thing I've always said. This is a calling. This is like, I don't think he'd want to be anywhere else. I genuinely don't think he'd want to be anywhere else. I think, yeah, he probably is working 24/7, but also he never switches off that worry. It's like the Secret Service. Like I think it was the scene where you see where Rhaenyra comes in, meets the Dragon Seeds for the first time. I was very sort of clear about that. I was talking to the director and all the rest. It was like, I'm so uncomfortable with this scene as a guard. I'm like, you just brought in 40 something odd strangers within a knife's width proximity of the Queen. I can't. It's stressing me out. It's genuinely stressing me out. Like, I have so little control over this situation, and it could be spies from the Greens. It could be all sorts of assassins, all that kind of stuff. And I think that the hyper awareness always, hand on the hilt. Where's the danger coming from? Where could it be coming from? That's where his focus is at all day long, every single day, and probably in his dreams as well, especially at the moment where there are threats coming left, right, and centre. So yeah, I don't think Sir Lorent sleeps that much, and when he is awake, he's 100% ready.
You did a great job with that, by the way. I really like the detail of you almost unsheathing your sword, and there was that exchange with you and Emma.
Just a little stand down, stand down. But I think again when in the scene just before that, where the amazing actors doing the speaking with Emma about the dragons. And just the thing of like, he got louder and louder and more aggressive. And I was like, in my head, into Lorent land, I'm like, any minute now, I'm going to cut his head off. Like, any minute. He is one more like rude comment away from being felled right here, because there's loads of people around. You ain't going to speak to the Queen that way. And had he not turned his heel at that point, I think there's always that kind of going on in his head. And also, not to despoil the Queen. He is sworn fealty to this thing. His loyalty is 100%. That anybody would despoil that or treat her with disrespect or not sort of give her the respect she deserves, like, niggles him. Makes him like that's the way to really put sand in his underwear. Just don't be rude to the Queen, because you'll end up in trouble.
Very loyal, very loyal. Moving on, the next one is by Chaircat. How was filming for season 2 different from filming for season 1?
For me, it was different because I got to be there for the whole shoot. Obviously, for season 1, I joined the show quite late. I came in, I did a little bit on episode 8, and I really sort of got established as a character in episode 10. So it was very much a team already in place. There was a very sort of tight set of relationships and stuff before I joined the cast. Not they weren't incredibly generous and lovely and welcoming, but obviously they've been shooting for 6-7 months, whatever it was. So season 2 was nice. Because it was like coming back to the gang now, and I got to be there from the first read. So literally the scripts came through, and we'd go and do the read throughs and sit around a table and see everybody, and have a pret a manger sandwich and go like, oh my god, what you've been doing, and catch up, and then hear the story read. We did about 4 days of table reads. So that gives you a much bigger sense of what the whole show is as well. Because I had never seen in the previous scripts. When I was doing season 1, I only had the scripts that I was in, so I had no idea. I had no real context apart from the book of what had been shot, what had happened. But this time around, I got a real sense of what the show was going to be from day one. So yeah, it just felt more kind of intrinsically part of the show.
How strict are they with those scripts? Are you allowed to take them home with you? Not at all, right?
Not even allowed to have a paper copy of your script. And I'm dyslexic, so they give the pages on red They do like red pages because they want them back at the end of the day. You go in your trade in the morning, you've got a little plastic folder with your pages in, your name on them, and you have to give them back at the end of the day. And I find it almost borderline impossible to read on red paper. So I think I'm gonna have to request next year that I can have like, I don't know, dark orange or something, so I can read the things.
Yeah, they're very, very strict with that. But I guess it only makes sense because leaks have been a problem.
Yeah.
And yeah, probably want to avoid that. The next one is from Get Sunfired. How does a normal day of shooting look like on House of the Dragon?
There is no normal day of shooting on House of the Dragon. You see the show, right? Like there's always something bananas going on. But a standard shoot day, I mean, I suppose the kind of like what's the order of the day would be, very early pickup, 6 o'clock, whatever else, get to set, have breakfast, get into costume, get into makeup, and then get ferried down to the soundstage, at which point we'll meet the director, talk through what's, the first scene of the day, whatever else, probably have a little stumble through, a little rehearsal of whatever else, then we'll step off whilst the camera's set up, and then rinse and repeat. We can step on set, shoot some stuff, move the camera on, reshoot the thing, or get more coverage on something else, and spend our day doing that until we're really tired and full of too much craft surfaces. And
that sounds exhausting. And so
I think it's the joke of, especially for an actor, like filming is all hurry up and wait. It's just like, really need you got to be a set right now, and then just chill, because we've got actually we've got 5 cameras and 4 moves to kind of put together. So it's always being just staying prepared and not getting too sleepy and not having too many coffees and not you could put on a lot of weight on House of the Dragons if you wanted to. They are always supplying us with delicious food. And I was very careful on season 2. I was like, nope, I'm going to fit into this armor at the end of this season. There's no way I'm going to be like having to, buckle down by the time we get to the last episode.
By the way, the artist of that drawing just joined the chat. Felipe Inyo is here. Hey Felipe, he saw your drawing and he really, really liked it.
Oh, cool! I want to print it out.
I actually did that with the Viserys one here. That's how I found him. I just randomly found him on Twitter.
Unbelievable! I'm so honored that you bothered doing me.
So that's his King Viserys.
So great!
And I saw that on Twitter, and I was like, "Yeah,
man, it's so cool.
I have to have that."
Talented. So yeah, I'll probably be doing the same with that one. If he wants to send me a really high res version, I'd like that.
All right. You heard him. You heard him, Felipe.
Yes, mate. Thank you so much for the time and effort and care and caring about it enough to do it. So thank you.
He says thanks. I hope you like the artwork.
I love it. Absolutely love it. It's quite likely going to be my my new Twitter face for a few days.
And he said he will send it to you.
Yes, please.
Alrighty.
Love it.
The next question is from Clara Gillman. What's the biggest challenge when it comes to filming a show like House of the Dragon?
I mean, that's an incredibly broad question. I think it's the scale of it. A show that is that big, that has so many moving parts. And bear in mind, we've always got Fire Unit and Blood Unit running at the same time. You've got two movies being shot on top of each other all day long, every day, with multiple cameras and hundreds of extras and hundreds of cast and hundreds of crew. I mean, the struggle, the biggest challenge is making that work to the point where you get the kind of show that I think that Ryan's delivered, and not lose track of it, because it's an unbelievable amount of different strings to be putting together and to be considering. I think that's where Ryan's great strength is. He's so good at being on top and all over all these different elements, and calmly knowing exactly what he wants at whatever point. Talking to Sarah, and they always have this incredible kind of like knowledge about what it is and where they're going. And that's just work ahead of time. That's prep. That's loving the material. But that's the biggest challenge, is trying to make this enormous, like disparate, extraordinary set of different people doing different jobs into what you guys get to watch on a Sunday night.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah. Milne asks, "Are you excited for the Duncan Egg show?"
Do you know what? It's one of the very few Aramata stuff I've not read. So,
Ooh,
I probably will do what I would do last time. I need to read the books.
I absolutely do. It's
So
the
I will 100% do that, and then I will reserve my right. But my instinct is it's going to have a slightly different energy to both House of Dragons and Game of Thrones.
yeah.
And I'm up for it. Look, I love the Westeros world. I love the creation of that universe. So, I mean, the likelihood is I'll be all in from what I'll see. But
Yeah.
I don't have familiarity with the material as I do with so much of the other stuff. So I am sorry. I'll do my homework. I'll read it and then I'll come.
I have to apologize, but do yourself the favor of reading that. It's, in my opinion, it's George R. R. Martin's best work. Pretty beautiful short stories. Very small folk centered. They're not getting killed as much as they are in House of the Dragon, that's for sure. And yeah, I can't wait for that one. And I think, you will definitely like it as well.
I will watch all things Westerosi with a great big smile on my face.
The next question is from Aiden Jace. How cool is it to be in House of the Dragon, and what is the hardest thing about it? I think we touched that on the second part just now. But how cool is it to be in House of the Dragon, Max?
As I said, I was a big fan of Game of Thrones, so it's as cool as you can imagine. You have the jobs you want to do, the things that you would really like to kind of be near or be a part of, and it's super cool. It's like, yeah, my happy place. Yeah, do it all day long, every day. Thank you very much. I get to wear a cool costume. I get to be around cool people. Yeah, it's. Look, I'm an actor. I like being at work. Particularly nice to be at work on something that you genuinely have an affinity for and love for. So yeah, very cool.
And how's that in real life? Are people coming up to you, or
no? I don't think I have one of those faces. I don't think I've had none of that. So I think I don't think I've got one of those really recognizable kind of like that's the guy.
So no weird fan encounters yet.
No, not really. No, I mean no under radar. I don't think. Yeah, so far anyway.
Might be a blessing in disguise, because I think people can be weird too. So yeah. Then there's two more questions. We have a new one. Mark Sutton asks, what would Lorent's number one advice be for an upcoming King's or Queen's Guard?
Take the oath. Stick to it.
That's good. That's good. And then the very last one for today is by Kaz J. Lester.
Hey, Kaz. We know Kaz for many years.
How do you control your nerves when performing with your fellow castmates?
I don't know. Preparation and a love of the work. Like it's scary, but like it's also really fun. So if you can remember that and bring that to it, it should hopefully undercut the more negative parts of your own self-doubt. So if you could just remind yourself that this is a total joy and you get to do it rather than you have to do it. It's like, yeah, everybody gets nervous at different times and different moments, and everybody has their kind of, stage fright seconds. But I think if you can always just remember that this, when you get to do it, it's an absolute pleasure and it's a joy that you get to do your job for once. And having been an actor for many, many years and spent many years out working and all the rest of it, you just have to remind yourself this is what you want to be doing. So if you want to be doing it, take pleasure.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It was
having me.
It was a pleasure to talk to you again. Wish you nothing but the best, and I hope we get to see you swinging that sword in the third season.
Yeah, I need to wet that blade at some point.
Yeah. Let's hope for the best there.
Thank you so much, everyone.
All right, guys. See you guys on Thursday for my review of the final episode of season 2.